You can charm anyone with the 2F formula. Recipes produce predictability. That's a good thing. When you eat something that tastes amazing, you want to enjoy that same experience again. So you get the recipe. It's a formula for recreating the food the exact same way. You follow the simple steps. You gather the ingredients. If you're on YouTube or a social media site, you might check the comments for tips and pointers to make the outcome even better. If you want to become more charming, you simply need to follow the 2F process. As with any recipe, you start by gathering ingredients. It's very simple in this example. The only ingredient you need here is this. Focus outward and away from yourself. No one will ever call you charming if all you do is talk about yourself. You need to put the focus on others if you're going to receive the charming compliment. People start to find you more likable and appealing when you put the positive focus on them. You put the attention away from you and on others. Consider that your essential ingredient of the 2F charming creation recipe. With that in mind, here is the simple 2 steps you need to follow. 1. Flatter. 2. Flirt. People tend to like you more when you make them feel good. There's nothing a person likes hearing more than praise. That's why the first step of your 2F recipe is to flatter. Don't go overboard. You don't have to go crazy here and say nice things over and over about a person. You just want to make sure you compliment them in some way. If you're trying to charm multiple people at the same time, spread the compliments around. Just make sure you don't talk about your audience as a group. You need to make eye contact with each individual and give them a genuine compliment. Flatter them in some way. The simple second step is to flirt. Don't worry, we're not asking you to hint at something sexual in nature. You can flirt by saying how you admire a character trait a person has. There's nothing wrong with saying you wish you were as physically fit as a person you're talking to. The key to flattering and flirting without seeming excessive is practice. The old saying that practice makes perfect is definitely true here. Charming people work at their craft, so flatter people and flirt in a mild, non-sexual manner. Before long, you'll be known as a charming, likable, and enjoyable conversationalist. Want to be more charming? Use the compliment sandwich. Have you ever heard of the compliment sandwich? It's used by bosses who have to give performance reviews. The effectiveness of this practice for improving performance is often argued. Some people will tell you it doesn't make an employee any better. Others will fervently stand by this tactic for boosting performance and results. It's just like building a sandwich, except in place of bread, you use compliments or positive statements. Between your 2 pieces of bread, you give feedback that might be negative in nature. Your boss may start your quarterly performance review with a compliment. She'll note that you had a record-breaking week in sales recently. The 2 of you will spend some time talking about that positive achievement. Then your boss dives into how you can improve. This can be tough to deal with. She'll bring up things you didn't do so well that you have to change. This is the meat of the compliment sandwich. She'll slap on the last piece of the bread by once again bringing up something positive. You're going to use the compliment sandwich to become more charming by leaving out anything negative. Compliment plus conversation plus compliment. You still want to be open and close a conversation with compliments. Tell the person you're speaking with how much you like their shirt, hat, or watch. Ask them where they got it from so you can check them out for yourself. You might make a positive statement about the person's recent achievements, their family, or anything else related to that individual. Then you continue the conversation. Charming people make sure communication is about the other person. Get them involved. Ask questions and really listen. Use body language and facial expressions to show that you're interested. Close the compliment sandwich with a positive statement. Make sure it comes from the heart. Speak genuinely. If you can't think of anything specific to say about that person, try this. It was really great talking to you. That story about your blank was so captivating. I look forward to seeing you soon and talking with you again. That's a simple way to control a conversation and move it in a positive direction. The person doesn't even realize most of the time that you're in control. They remember the positive things you said about them. They recall that you made them the centerpiece of the conversation. The last thing they recall is your compliment. That's a smooth and simple move charming people use to be perceived as more likable and appealing. The 2-1 communication secret to becoming more charming. Charming is a word that has different meanings for different people. The word charisma is often brought to mind. When you think of someone as charming, you may feel the person is desirable and delightful, pleasant and appealing, maybe even magnetizing. Oftentimes, you won't be able to put your finger on exactly what draws you to that person. You just know you feel pleasant in their company and enjoy being around them. Do you want to be more like that? Could you advance your career if you learned how to turn on the charm when dealing with others? It's an important skill that socially graceful people use to improve their relationships. Even when interacting with people they don't necessarily like or respect, a charming person can leave a good impression. If you'd like to communicate more effectively and have people refer to you as charming and likable, there's one very simple thing you need to start doing. By the way, this doesn't take much practice. You're already physically hardwired to give off a more likable, charming, and engaging vibe. You just have to do a little basic math. How many ears do you have? How many mouths? Don't worry, you don't have to break out the calculator here. Just perform a simple math-based assumption. You have 2 ears that are always open, you only have 1 mouth, and it can be closed. That should tell you what you were created to do more often. You should be listening much more than talking. The charming person is an excellent listener. She doesn't do it falsely. She asks a lot of questions and uses facial expressions to show she's interested in the person who's talking. She listens deeply and can repeat things that have been told to her. Those are charming qualities. As writer Eugene O'Neill stated, we were given mouths that close and ears that don't. That should tell us something. Ancient philosopher Epictetus gave us the same lesson for being more charming. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. Being charming is all about listening. Talking is an important part of being charming. You have to say the right things. You should also be genuine. People can tell when you're false and trying to manipulate them. So really care about the person you're talking to. Say pleasant things and think about the experience for the other person rather than yourself. Then listen deeply. Get into the conversation so when you do decide to talk, you repeat things the person has said. You let them know you're truly listening and getting into the feelings and emotions that are being relayed. You were given 2 ears and only 1 mouth, and that mouth has the ability to close. So do at least 2 times more listening than talking if you want to be more charming and engaging. Charming people never do these 2 things. Charming people are likable and appealing. You enjoy being around them because they always make you feel good. You feel a level of calm and happiness, and smiles come easy to your face. If you'd like to be more like that yourself, here are a couple of things you never want to do. 1. Don't be a name dropper. We probably shouldn't have used the word never in our title. There are times when relaying a personal story about a celebrity will be well received. What we're talking about is overdoing it. You know the people we're talking about. They'll sneak the fact that they met or interacted with some famous person into just about any conversation. It might go like this. I'm thinking about going to the beach this weekend. Name dropper. That sounds like a great idea. I was on the beach 3 years ago, and you'll never guess who I saw there. Oprah Winfrey. She was recording a segment for her show about. They'll even name drop when they have to stretch really far to make the connection. I'm thinking about a cheeseburger for lunch. I've been craving something cheesy lately. Name dropper. That sounds delicious. Do you know who would love to eat a cheeseburger? Oprah Winfrey. I know because I got her autograph once. We were at a fundraiser for one of her charities, and she was eating cheese, and... This is the opposite of charming for so many reasons. Don't be this person. 2. Don't focus on contradiction. Do you know someone who always has to outdo you in a conversation? You might be talking about some sporting achievement or promotion you landed at work. You mentioned that up until recently you haven't played tennis in a long time. Then yesterday you took to the court with a friend and played better than you have in years. You won 3 straight sets and felt good about the achievement. You make the mistake of mentioning this in the company of Mr. One-Upper. Without hesitating, he tells you about the time he won 4 or 5 or 6 sets in a row. He always has to best you, even if his achievement is imaginary. Charming people don't do this. They may have outperformed you significantly in some fashion, but they let you own the moment. You're so happy that you finally become district manager for your company. It means a big pay raise and flexible working hours. You've worked to get to this position for years. A charming person will congratulate you. You'll see in their face that they're genuinely happy for you. They might even shake your hand or give you a pat on the back, because you can convey a lot with physical touch. What they aren't going to do is tell you that they just became vice president of their company. Even if that's something that happened, they'll just keep it to themselves. This is one way that people without charm contradict you. Not only do they claim that they're better than you, but they'll also seek arguments. If you make a statement, they'll immediately discredit it, even if you know more than them about the topic. The charming person searches to agree with opinions rather than contradicting them and one-upping your achievements. Charisma versus charm. Aren't they the same thing? So you want to become more charming. Wait a minute. Maybe what you really need is to be more charismatic. Is that what you're looking for? If you think we're splitting hairs here, we're really not. While the two words are used interchangeably a lot of the time, there are some solid differences between charm and charisma. The two words are similar in many ways, to be sure. We're not here to argue that. But is one attribute more desirable than the other? Are there certain times where being charming is the smarter move rather than turning on the charisma? Let's take a look. Defining charisma. It's always nice when other people do homework for you. That's the case with defining charisma. The University of Toronto conducted research in 2018 that gives us a simple basic recipe for charisma. Charisma equals influence plus affability. Influence is what you think it is. A charismatic person is a leader. They have a leadership presence that allows them to persuade and influence others. Affability simply means friendliness. An affable person is easy to be around. They give off a warmth that makes you feel comfortable in their presence. Charisma defines more of a total personality type than a single interaction with a person. It's about intensity and magnetism. The charismatic person influences and can persuade people, and it doesn't always have to be a pleasant experience. Defining a charming person. Dictionaries will tell you that the word charming means pleasing, pleasant, or delightful. When referring to a person, this is more about a single character trait than a total personality. You can have an interaction with someone and walk away thinking, "That was charming. She's a delightful person." The next time you see that person, you might not feel the same way. It's why you'll hear someone refer to turning on the charm when they want to make a good impression. Charm is always pleasant and enjoyable. Charm is pleasing people. Charisma doesn't have to be. Adolf Hitler was incredibly charismatic. That doesn't mean he cared about other people's opinions or making others feel pleasant and happy. That's what charm is all about. You want to please others and make them feel happiness, and this is often achieved by appearing pleasant yourself and saying the right things. Charisma doesn't really care about your opinion. The charismatic person can be incredibly influential, but that's not always a good thing. Charisma is more about changing the views, opinions, and judgments of others so that they adopt your mindset and beliefs. Don't get us wrong here. Used positively, charisma can improve your life in so many ways. So can charm. The charming person is more of a people pleaser, while a charismatic person has an intensity and energy that draws people to him. Both of these qualities can help you advance in your career, your relationships, and other areas of your life where you have to communicate and interact with people.